Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. I'll tell you, Beck, I did not see yesterday coming in the Dome.
No, I don't think many people did. I don't think anyone did, in fact, except for maybe the biggest of homers for the Saints.
I said on Friday, I gave my pick. I said I think the Saints will win, but I think Carolina will cover. I did not think the Saints would fare well against Jadeveon Clowney and Derek Brown on the defensive front.
They were kind of non-factors.
They were very much non-factors, and I didn't think that Carolina would move the ball a ton against the Saints defense. That turned out to be true. But I thought that it was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 20-17 game, and it was not. It was an absolute bloodbath from the start. Bang, right out of the gate, Derek Carr, post route, Shaheed, 6, and the Saints never slowed down on either side of the ball. It was a clinical performance by the black and gold in a game they absolutely needed to get off to a good start in. They just jumped up 17-0 in the first quarter and just never let up. It was sensational. The Saints were great on offense. They ran the ball exceptionally well, 180 yards on the ground, 37 carries on the ground. They got Kamara the ball 15 times. Jamal Williams got involved. They used Taysom Hill when they needed to. I thought all of that was fantastic. And the passing game was very, very crisp. It was Derek Carr's best performance as a member of the New Orleans Saints. The statistics weren't eye-popping from a yardage perspective, but it was the efficiency with which he worked. He was 19 of 23, 200 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns and no picks, only took the 1 sack. They did a good job getting the ball down the field vertically. They did a good job getting the ball out in the screen game and the intermediate game. They were just awesome start to finish. And there was a stat I saw on the internet that the Saints were near the bottom of the NFL in motion percentage last year. They were tops in the NFL in motion percentage in this game, and that's something we knew was coming. It's why after the preseason games, I looked up and said, I don't really care what the Saints offense does in these games, because it is very evident when we have the writers and reporters and TV folks on that we're out there in Irvine for camp, what they're doing in these games bears no resemblance to what they're doing in practice. They're not running their offense, so I don't really care. And they ran their offense on Sunday, and it was awesome. I don't think they can keep that up every week. That's probably easy to suggest, but it's very encouraging that they were able to do some more creative things, and they were able to do it very, very efficiently. Saw the big play to Shaheed for a 59-yard touchdown. Foster Moreau, his first touchdown in the Dome as a member of the Saints. They got Kamara 5 catches as well. Juwan Johnson got on the mic for a touchdown. They didn't even really use Chris Olave a ton in this game. He only had 2 catches, but they spread the ball around a ton, and it was awesome to watch offensively. The defense just suffocated Bryce Young, who might be terrible. I think probably is terrible. He was 13 out of 30 for 161 yards. He threw 2 picks. He was sacked 4 times. His QBR in the game was 10.7. His quarterback rating, which is the bigger number, was 32.8. He was atrocious in this game. I thought Chase Young looks phenomenal coming off the edge. The statistics won't bear it out because he didn't get credited with a bunch of sacks, but he was back there getting a lot of pressures. I think I saw 8 was the number of pressures that he got on Bryce Young. I thought the coverage was good. The Saints made plays on the ball. There's almost nothing you could nitpick in this game from a Saints perspective, and that is so rare in the NFL, because even the bad teams have good players and can function, and they're going to get you here and there. Carolina had no answer on either side of the ball for New Orleans. It was an awesome sight to behold. Before I get into kind of my thoughts on how much of this is the Saints and how much of this is the Panthers, Beck, what did you think about the way that the Saints handled their business on Sunday?
It was, it was shocking and awesome to see. But a few things that I'll note, like you said, only 2 targets for Chris Olave. You're obviously going to need to target him a lot more than twice if you're going to win some really tough games that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And then one thing I'll say is that the defense needs to get a lot of credit, not only for holding the Panthers to 10 points, but they gave the Saints a short field a number of times.
Yeah.
And the offense really did not. Their offense had the first few drives, they had a couple of 75-yard drives, and then after that, a lot of the drives were less than 50 yards. Like they had the field goal that they didn't even get. They only got a few yards on, a couple other touchdowns, and then they had a good kickoff return. that went pretty far. And so the offense itself, I think they had 379 yards, which is a lot, but still the defense and the special teams were incredible. I think that's one thing. And Juwan Johnson blocked a punt, which was really cool. So I think even if you see this offense and say, okay, they're playing the Panthers, who have a respectable defense, and maybe you say, okay, the offense has to regress, which I agree with when you play against better teams. But at the same time, you can't take away the fact that the defense and the special teams, I think, will not go away. They're gonna play well against everyone, and that will also help the offense.
Groupie had a great preseason, but then I'm looking at this going, he had a great preseason last year, and then he got in the regular season games, and it was terrible. Well, he was great yesterday, 4 of 4, had a 57-yarder, was really, really good in the game. And you mentioned the kick returns. They had a couple of those by Shaheed and Jamal Williams, both went over 30 yards, so that was good as well. I believe this is my summation. I think the Saints played great. And I think the Saints are probably a little bit better than what we anticipated.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think it's out of the question to suggest that 9 or 10 wins is possible here. And I think a lot of people had them probably closer to 4 or 5. I said 9 and 8 on my preseason projections. But Carolina offensively is a grease fire. I mean,
it's terrible.
It is atrocious. Bryce Young looks terrible. He is inaccurate. He is indecisive. He runs for his life. He just looked awful. They could not get any ground game going whatsoever. Had 58 yards rushing on 20 carries with Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. That's supposed to be their bread and butter as an offense. And so I think that this is, if I'm giving credit in a percentage and to the Saints and blame as percentage to Carolina, I think the Panthers' ineptitude on offense probably deserves like 35 or 40% of this, and the Saints defense gets 60, 65%. It's not going to look that good against Dallas this week.
No.
But I do think that if you're a Saints fan, you should feel very encouraged today that the offense did look transformative. There were significant differences. A healthy Derek Carr looked to be very, very efficient and comfortable, and you looked very good. And I think the defense is going to be elite. If the Saints are going to win the South, which is very possible. Atlanta did not look good. Tampa looked okay, and then Carolina's awful. If you're going to win the South, your defense needs to be in the top 5 or 6 in football. Like, they have to be great. Expecting, like, and no one's expecting 47 points every week. Like, no one expects that. But the Saints are not going to average 36 points a game.
No.
They're a lot of times, I think, going to end up mid to high 20s, and that should be enough most weeks with that defense, and that's how you're gonna win games, I think. So I mean, I do think the Saints played great. I'm encouraged by that. I think they've got a chance in the South, but you do have to put the caveat on it. The Panthers are awful, and they're probably going to have to restart at quarterback again next year. I mean, I don't know how quickly you give up on Bryce Young, but if it looks more like this, like it did last year for another year, like, I'll give you a bumpy first year, but you got to make serious strides in year 2. And he looks completely lost, which is wild to those of us who watched him in the SEC because he was so good at Alabama. He can't play at this level.
Yeah, it's hard to see a guy struggle like that. And I agree. I think he is not great, but at the same time, man, it's so hard to evaluate guys that are playing for horrible teams. The Panthers on offense are god awful. The offensive line. Okay. It's to me, quarterback, especially rookie young quarterbacks, the situation is so it plays into it so much. I don't know that I agree that Bryce Young is a horrible quarterback. Like, it's not. Of course, there are always guys that are great in college and can't translate to the NFL. But I do think that the situation is such a big factor, and the Panthers are such a bad organization.
That doesn't help.
It doesn't.
That doesn't help. But he's inaccurate. He's holding on to the ball.
He wasn't good.
There's no rhythm whatsoever. And Canales did wonders with Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield, who are older than Bryce Young. But like he got them into good situations. And I'm not suggesting that Tampa and Seattle had the best personnel situations in football. Bryce Young just looks completely lost. So the Saints had to get this one. They were good in every aspect of the game, and they did get it done. And now you go through this 4-week stretch that is it's just massive. And I think most Saints fans would have taken 3-2 through 5 weeks, and that's going to be tough to get to. But you've got an opportunity if you play like that to get there. And if you're clinging to hope, Carr looked pretty good the last 4 weeks of the year last year once he got a little healthier. And now he's healthy. If you can keep him that way, we'll see. Offensive line was excellent. You saw Eric McCoy was the highest graded player on Pro Football Focus. Trevor Penning, I didn't notice him, which is a good start. I did not notice him.
I will say I did notice him a few times. A couple of times they got him out in space, and he made a few plays. He did have a holding call.
He did.
But overall, he really wasn't bad. He was a lot better than I was expecting.
Those preseason snaps were terrifying. They were so bad, even a novice football watcher could watch the play and go, oh, my gosh. And that did not happen yesterday. And
No.
Carolina's got good players on the front. Like their defense was decent last year. They're just so bad on offense they can't win any games. I joked yesterday on Twitter, put the Carolina Panthers are now on the clock. It kind of feels like they're headed in that direction once again. The Saints win at 47-10, and I would suggest probably look the best of any team in the NFL. I think the Cowboys win was probably a little bit more impressive because it was on the road against a really good team. But the Saints, that was a complete performance start to finish, and they should be pretty proud of themselves, pretty happy if you're in black and gold today.
And you said the next 4 weeks. I would say even the next 5 weeks. I know it's at home, but the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield,
It's a huge game.
It is, and they looked good. I know they were playing the Commanders and a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, but the Commanders' defense is pretty stout. So the next 5 weeks, truthfully, is going to be really massive. And then, of course, you had that home tilt against Denver with the Sean Payton homecoming. So that'll be interesting.
Denver did not look great.
No, they
yesterday.
didn't. They did not look
great.
No.
If you want to read some Saints coverage, Ross Jackson did a fantastic job for us in the Dome yesterday. Got a quick piece up after the game. Did a by the numbers piece. He's got some Pro Football Focus grades that are up there as well. So if you're looking for some Saints content to digest today on this Monday in the office, LouisianaSports.net, fantastic spot. Ross is doing great work for us out on LouisianaSports.net. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.